शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना रज्जन्तस्तोय भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवत्ये उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Let's scroll up a little bit. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, Text 7. Narada Uvacha Bhoho Bhoho Prajapate Rajan Pasun Pasya Tva Ayat Dhavare Samajnanapitam Jiva Sangan Nigrahena Sahasrasha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, K.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, please scroll down. Srila Prabhupada, please scroll down. Srila Prabhupada, are you there?
Krishna Prabhu, 1 second, Prabhu.
Yeah, no.
There is every time I open the Veda base, there is. You want 1 second? Let me.
No, I have it. Don't worry, I'll read it. Okay, translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who are interested only a so-called beautiful life, namely remaining as a householder, and then, sorry, this is different. Yeah, it's 424, right?
425 verse 7.
425, 7. Huh? So, okay, so we were reading the wrong one then.
1 second, Prabhu.
Yeah, no,
I think I'm
almost
there.
Yeah, okay, we got it.
This should be better.
Yeah, so translation is: the great saint Narada said, O ruler of the citizens, my dear king, please see in the sky those animals which you have sacrificed without compassion and without mercy in the sacrificial arena. Purport: because animal sacrifice is recommended in Vedas, there are animal sacrifices in almost all religious rituals. However, one should not be satisfied simply by killing animals according to the direction of the scriptures. One should transcend the ritualistic ceremonies and try to understand the actual path, the purpose of life. Narada Muni wanted to instruct the king about the real purpose of life and invoke a spirit of renunciation in his heart. Knowledge and spirit of renunciation, Jnana Vairagya, are the ultimate goal of life. Without knowledge, one cannot become detached from material enjoyment, and without being detached from material enjoyment, one cannot make spiritual advancement. Karmis are generally engaged in sense gratification, and for this, and they are prepared to commit so many sinful activities. Animal sacrifices is but one such sinful activity. Consequently, by his mystic power, Narada Muni showed King Prachin Barishat the dead animals which he had sacrificed. Are we reading text 8 also? Ete tvam sampartikshante smaranto vaishasam tava samparetam aya kutes chindante utthita manyevaha. Translation: all these animals are awaiting your death so that they can avenge the injuries you have inflicted upon them. After you die, they will angrily pierce your body with iron horns. Purport: Narada Muni wanted to draw King Prachin Barishat's attention to the excesses of killing animals in sacrifices. It is said in the Shastras that by killing animals in a sacrifice, one immediately promotes them to human birth. Similarly, by killing their enemies on a battlefield, the Kshatriyas who fight for a right cause are elevated to the heavenly planets after death. In Manu Samhita, it is stated that it is necessary for a king to execute a murderer so that the murderer will not suffer for his criminal actions in his next life. On the basis of such understanding, Narada Muni warns the king that the animals killed in sacrifice by the king await him at his death in order to avenge themselves. Narada Muni is not contradicting himself here. Narada Muni wanted to convince the king that overindulgence in animal sacrifice is risky because as soon as there is small discrepancy in the execution of such a sacrifice, the slaughtered animal may not be promoted to a human form of life. Consequently, the person performing sacrifice will be responsible for the death of the animal, just as much as a murderer is responsible for killing another man. When animals are killed in slaughterhouse, six people connected with the killing are responsible for the murder. The person who gives permission for the killing, the person who kills, the person who helps, the person who purchases the meat, the person who cooks the flesh, and the person who eats it all become entangled in the killing. Narada Muni wanted to draw the king's attention to this fact. Thus, animal killing is not encouraged even in a sacrifice. End of purport. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can use today's lecture to purify myself. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to purify myself. So here we see that Narada Muni in this verse is very mercifully making the king Prachin Barishad aware of his past actions. Narada Muni is not a resident of this world. He is a Vaikuntha man. Therefore, he has all the mystic powers and the abilities required to make people understand Krishna consciousness. Being expert in mystic powers, he was able to show King Prachin Barishad the pictures of animals slaughtered by him. Even though they were killed in Vedic sacrifice, still Prabhupada mentions in the purport that these things are not the goal of life and not necessary. The point Narada Muni is making here is that these animals were killed without any compassion or mercy. Cruelty is never good in any condition of life. No religion encourages cruelty. Therefore, the result of these actions must be borne by us at some point or another. Just like King Prachin Barishad is getting the vision of some of the sinful things he has done in his life. Human beings also, at the time of death, we all will see the vision and we will see all the bad things we have done in life. So it is said in the scripture, when the person in his dying moments, the whole life passes through like a camera roll in front of his eyes. And he sees all the actions he has done throughout his life. It is like watching a cinema running at a fast speed. So only the person can see it and nobody around can see it. So at that time, the person realizes that what kind of sinful activities he has done through the course of life. And the person repents like anything. But it is too late because you are about to die. And the person also starts seeing the next body he is going to get in the next life. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a very famous shloka. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam yajjatante kalevaram tam tam evaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. So whatever state of being one remembers, when he quits his present body, in his next life he will attain to that state without fail. So now we must understand that material nature is a display of one of the energies of the Supreme Lord. So subtle creates the gross, and subtle is superior to gross. So subtle mind is responsible for creating the gross body. This science is explained in Bhagavad Gita. And at the time of that death, the state of consciousness is already preparing the next gross body. If a person has lived like an animal throughout his life and developed the animalistic consciousness, then at the death, he will have the consciousness he cultivated. And because of this consciousness of animal, he will get an animal birth in next life. If at the time of death, he is going to get the body of pig, he will start seeing a pig. And then he becomes very, very fearful. As he is repenting the horrible things he has done in life because of the cinema that is rolling in front of his eyes. On top of that, he's seeing all kinds of horrible body he will get in next life. And worse yet, the horrible looking Yamadutas also come with ropes to take him away. So he becomes extremely fearful. He wants to cry out in anxiety, "No, don't come near me." But he can't speak because at the time of the death, the bile, the mucus, the air, they all accumulate in the throat and the person can't speak. Plus the body and mind becomes extremely weak at the time of death and the senses become uncooperative. Therefore, it is said, out of fear, the dying man's eyes become wide and they bulge. In this most horrible state of consciousness, one is forced to leave the body. He doesn't want to leave the body, but the Yamaduta snatch the soul from the heart. They try to they tie his subtle body with ropes and take him to Yamraj. So there is a famous story from ISKCON where one of Srila Prabhupada's devotee, he drew this picture where Yamadutas are pulling the body out of a dying man with rope. And these people, they were not even Indian, most of them were Westerners who drew this. And because Srila Prabhupada empowered them, they could draw this. So then what happened, this devotee, his parents once came to visit him and they saw this painting and they didn't think much of it. But when later on, many years later, his father was leaving his body, he started shouting, that, "Hey, the same people are here, the same people are here, they're taking me away, help me, help me." So his wife didn't understand and she called this disciple of Prabhupada and said, he's screaming. And so then that man said, "The same painting you draw, those people are here." So we need to understand that these things are not make-believe stuff, this is real stuff. This is the words of scriptures and spiritual master. So anyway, this man was finally able to help him, and he was able to offer him tulsi leaves and some prasadam, and he was able to chant, and finally he was a little bit calmed and he left his body. So we have to see that this stuff is real, and Narada Muni is showing King Prachin Bharishan. He doesn't even have to wait for the death. He's already showing him the movie that he's gonna see later. So, and we are also very fortunate because we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam and all these things are mentioned in so many different verses. So what kind of action will result in what kind of hell? That is explained in fifth canto. When we read fifth canto, there are 68 different kind of hells that are described. So we need to understand that what type of activity we should do and what type of activity we should not do. That is the real intelligence, right? So we need to take this very seriously and we should not think that this is all make-believe stuff. And we know that in once we will read in the story of Ajamil and how the Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas argue about what is dharma, what is adharma, and such things. So we will learn there also these pastimes. And we should know that there are 13 witnesses to every activity that living entity is performing. The sun, the moon, the day, the evening, night, water, land, air, sky, demigods, and ultimately the super soul in the heart is witnessing everything. So we should not think that just because nobody is seeing it, I can do anything, right? So we should know that there are witnesses to our actions, and when we go to after death, we go to Yamraja and Chitragupt Maharaj. When he opens our book, he will have everything. We will not be able to lie or be smart about what we have done. So again, we don't have to be fearful of those things. We we should not do those things because they are not conducive to the spiritual life. That's what our main thing should be. We should not do those things because we will suffer in hell. That is not a good mentality. The mentality should be, this does not help me in Krishna consciousness. This doesn't help me in my devotional service. So I should avoid doing these activities. And also, we should have compassion for all living beings, right? So, big or small human beings or animals, we should have compassion for them because everybody, all living beings are creation of Supreme Lord, and they all have equal right to live, just as much as humans have. They also have equal right to live. We can't say that only I will be there and I'm going to kill all the insects and all everything around me. I'm just gonna kill them. We can't do that. So and we need to keep cleanliness. So these insects and other things don't come. That's the main thing. That's what Srila Prabhupada used to say. So devotees have to think of Krishna when they die, and that is the way to go back to Godhead. So we need to make sure that our movie that we will see at the end of life is us doing Mangal Aarti or us doing some seva or us doing kirtan. That's the movie we want to see. So the more we will do those activities, the more our life's movie will be filled with those. And there is a good chance we see that at the end of life rather than these horrible things. So it's our choice whether we want to see a movie which is a horror movie, or we want to see a movie which is very blissful and pleasing, full of spiritual activities. So therefore, we must take shelter of the process of chanting of the holy names of Lord and become free from this fear and make our life perfect. So with this, I would like to thank Vancha